Hello friends, it's Kristie Marcotte. It's time for a new challenge. The theme this week is something sweet. And if you still haven't entered a card for the previous challenges, no worries, there is no time frame. Feel free to jump in whenever you have a chance. For my card today, I pulled out the rest of the Doodlebug Fruit Stand paper pad. So I just have some small scraps that are left over. I'm not really sure why I never did my 6x6 paper pad tutorial with this paper collection. I think I might have entered a card challenge many years ago with it, so it was already partially used. But now I'm going to finish up the rest of this paper. I'll be using a cover-up die from Studio Katia. This is their Scallop honeycomb die. There are two dies included in the set. There's the outside frame that cuts out that scalloped rectangle, and then the inside piece cuts out all of these small hexagons, and both of them have a really fun pierced detail around the edges. I love using this style of die for finishing off the last scraps. I pulled out all of the pattern papers that had some fruit on them, ran them through my die cut machine, and so now I have my 12 different hexagons. I did leave one of them white so I could add a sentiment. And that sentiment is from Doodlebug's All Occasion stamp set. I first cut out the scalloped rectangle, and then I'm taking that inside piece with the hexagon, just lining it up, taped it with some washi tape, and then ran it through my machine. And this is where all of those cutouts of the hexagons will be. And I did the same thing for the pattern paper so I could get all of those little hexagons. I just took the small scraps, laid it on the die, and then ran it through the machine. So it did take me several times to cut out all of the pieces. I love to do inlaid technique whenever I have this style of die. So I just flipped it over and I'm putting some Scor-Tape on the back side. Now I'll just place all of the small hexagon pieces right inside. And one thing that's nice about this hexagon die is all of those openings are the same size. So you don't have to keep track that one of them was the upper right-hand corner and the other was the bottom left-hand corner, because some dies do have slightly different sizes on all of those openings, so you have to keep track of which one goes in which opening. So just to add a little extra sparkle to the card, I'm using some of Love from Lizi's peel-offs, and I'm putting the thinnest strip just to the inside edge of that pierced detail. This is just going to add a little bit of a frame. So for each of the pieces, I am cutting them a little longer than the die. So right now it looks a little odd, but I'm going to use an X-Acto knife and just miter the corners together so it has a nice clean edge. And then I'll just remove those little scraps. Love from Lizi peel-off stickers are some of my favorite craft supplies, and I try to use them as often as possible. They add such a lovely touch to the card. I have provided a link in the description box if you are interested in purchasing the peel-off stickers. Just a heads up, Love from Lizi is located in the UK, so there are international shipping fees. I used white pearlescent paper for this rectangle frame, and since it's a little bit smaller than an A2 size card base, I'm adding it onto another piece of the white pearlescent paper. If I didn't, then you would see just that outline of my regular white cardstock for the card bases, and I didn't really like that look. Next, I pulled out some yellow and white twine. I have a ton of twine. I bought it years ago on eBay, so I have lots of full rolls of twine. So I'm always trying to figure out a way to use some of that up. I just wrapped it around the card twice. It'll just go underneath that sentiment, and adhered it to the back using some Scor-Tape. And then I have another piece of twine and I just looped it underneath the other two rows, and I'm just tying a bow, trim off the tails. And then just for a finishing touch, I'm going to add some of the Studio Katia tiny iridescent bubbles. So I just dumped a bunch in this little tray, pulled out my art glitter glue, and I'm using an embellishment wand to pick up these tiny little pieces. So I put the drops of glue down first, and then I can grab the little bubbles and then attach them to the card. And this embellishment wand is so nice because it immediately releases those little bubbles. Then just a final finishing touch, I put a scrap of the leftover cardstock on the inside of the card just for some extra detail. And I did end up making a total of 5 cards using this design. I had a lot of the apple pattern paper left over, so I was able to make 1 card using just that apple paper. I think that'll be perfect to give to a teacher. And at this point, I barely have any pattern paper left over, but I decided I could make 1 more card. I'm using one of Pretty Pink Posh's stacked edge dies. This is the hexagon shape. So I used all of the leftover pattern paper and cut out these hexagon borders. And now I have a piece of white cardstock. This is 4 by 5 1/4, and I just covered it completely with ATG tape. And now I'm just going to start stacking the borders together. And these line up perfectly. So this is a great way to build your own background. And it's also a fun idea to finish off those thin strips of pattern paper you have left over from your paper collections. I didn't have a lot of variety left over for the paper, but I'm trying to make sure to at least mix them up and not have the same pattern next to the same piece. At the very end, I did put some liquid adhesive on there just to make sure this piece is going to stay in place. So once those are all adhered down, I just flip it over, take my scissors, and trim it right against the edge of this white cardstock. This is such an easy way to create a fun background. So this paper is so colorful since it's a Doodlebug paper pad. And now I'll just adhere this panel onto some purple cardstock. The sheet is just 1/8 of an inch bigger than that background panel. Pulling out some more of the twine, this time in a pretty pink color. I'm going to wrap it around the card twice, doing it a little lower toward the bottom of the card. Just trying to make sure it's straight before I add the Scor-Tape to the back side. And this just makes sure those ends aren't going to slip off later. Cut an extra piece so I'll be able to tie my bow, and then I'll put this card front onto a card base, leaving that 1/8 of an inch of the white card base showing. And then I'll slip that extra piece of twine underneath and just push it off to the side until I decide where I want to place it. And I'm using some ephemera from Blvd's Squeeze the Day collection. I recently did a full 6x6 video using that Squeeze the Day paper pad and also the ephemera, but I still have a ton of the ephemera pieces left over. So I'm trying to add them to cards whenever I can. I'll be attaching the pear ephemera piece on this circle die cut, and since it is going over the twine, I'm just trying to add some foam dimension above and below where that twine is. So I'm leaving a little track. That way it doesn't have an extra bump in the middle. So I'll just remove the backing on all of that foam dimension, and then I can attach my circle die cut. Just making sure I wasn't overlapping any of the foam pieces. Now I can tie my bow since I know where it's going to be. Trim off the tails. And I'll just use some liquid adhesive to attach the pears. These are so sweet. I love the little heart that's between them. And I did decide to leave off a sentiment for the front of the card. So later when I give this to somebody, I will add a sentiment on the inside of the card. I did decide to add a couple of banners in the upper right-hand corner. So one is just out of some green cardstock, and the other is the same purple cardstock that I did that background layer. I cut the purple banner just slightly shorter than the green and then overlap them. I'm going to add a little scrap to the inside of the card, and then just finishing touch, pulled out those tiny iridescent bubbles again. So I'm putting a couple of them on the purple banner, and then I'll sprinkle some around the pears. So I'm really trying to decide where I want to place them, just so everything looks nice and balanced on the card. 2 more of them under the pears, and then I'm just going to add one final drop on that left hand side. So there is my finished card, and then here are the other 5 that I made using this same paper collection, which is now completely finished. If you'd like to join my card challenge, you can head over to my Instagram or Facebook page. I have provided links for all of my social media pages in the description box. If you do share on Instagram, be sure to use the hashtag kristiescardchallenge. And if you do have time, go and check out that hashtag. Look at all of this amazing inspiration. So I just pulled this open on my phone and look at all these beautiful cards. You guys are just amazing. So many talented crafters out there. So this just keeps going on and on. I think this is my 7th card challenge now, so there is a lot of inspiration out there. If you don't have a social media page, that's fine too. I'd still love for you to play along with my card challenge. If you have an idea for an upcoming challenge, go ahead and leave it in the comments. I'm not short of ideas yet, but I'd love to hear some other options. Thank you so much for watching, and I hope you have a wonderful day.